Lucille calls his boss to brag about his successful client meeting. Feeling on top of the world, he goes to meet more clients and finally scores a big yes. Dreaming of his promotion, he struts back home, only to be shot by a criminal. Fortunately, God takes pity on him and reincarnates him into the fantastical world of Galdardia. Lucille wakes up confused in this new world, only to be terrified by a dragon roaring overhead. Suddenly, a magical screen pops up, offering him various job options and skills. He picks Assess Mastery and Monster Luck, both at level 1. After some thought, he decides to be a healer with holy magic and finds himself with 3 silver coins. While wandering, Lucille stumbles upon a dead dragon, freaks out, and runs for his life, determined to die an old man this time. At the city gate, guards demand identification and a toll. Lucille, thinking on his feet, tells them a fake story. The guard leaves and returns with a stunning woman named Lumina. She asks about his ID, and he claims he needs a job. Lumina, intrigued, escorts him to the Healers Guild, with the guard waving the toll because Lucille is a healer. On their way, Lucille bumps into a grumpy man named Bazin. Apologizing, Lucille hopes to avoid conflict, but Bazin gets aggressive. Upon learning Lucille knows no magic, Bazin tells him to be an honest healer and storms off. Lumina reassures Lucille, ready to defend him, leaving him impressed by her strength and wondering if his monster luck is helping him. At the guild, a bubbly receptionist named Kururu asks Lucille to fill out a form. When he asks if he can just write village as his address, Kururu giggles and heads to the back room. Lucille uses the opportunity to ask Lumina the town's name. She reveals it's Meritoni in the Republic of St. Shirul. Kururu returns with a card for Lucille to channel his magic, revealing his name and rank. She confirms he's a genuine healer with holy magic skills. Before Lumina leaves, Lucille nervously admits he doesn't know any holy spells. Lumina, skeptical, listens to his tale of being the first healer in his village. He begs to be an apprentice. Lumina offers 3 choices: Spartan training, a loan for magic school, or working as an assistant while studying. Lucille, always up for a challenge, picks Spartan training. Lumina agrees to train him, and Lucille vows to repay her kindness someday. Lumina leaves with a knowing smile. Determined to master healing magic in 10 days, Lucille practices by imagining a wounded arm, feeling his magic grow and mana deplete. Each morning, he improves his skills. A cute girl named Monica brings his breakfast and cheers him on. On the 3rd day, he finally succeeds. Monica congratulates him and asks for a coin, but returns it when she learns Lumina has already paid for his stay. She reveals Lumina is the captain of the church's all-female paladin regiment. Thanks to his monster luck, now dubbed Monster Luck Sensei, Lucille asks Monica about earning money as a healer. She confirms and suggests charging a silver coin. On his way, he bumps into Bazin again. 4 injured beasts stagger up, and Bazin scolds them for their carelessness. Remembering his promise to Monica, Lucille offers his services, but everyone looks at him doubtfully. Lucille, determined to prove himself, steps forward with a grin. Well, let's see what this Monster Luck Sensei can do. Everyone is shocked when Lucille offers to help the wounded adventurers. He begins treating the critically injured, but his first spell fails. Nervous and unable to focus, Lucille slaps himself lightly and tries again. This time, the wound heals instantly. Lucille continues healing the rest of the adventurers until evening, but by the time he reaches the last critically injured one, he collapses from exhaustion, unable to save them. Sad and determined, Lucille decides to join the Adventurers Guild to gain experience and level up as a healer. Entering the guild, Lucille is amazed by its grandeur. At the reception desk, his eyes shine when he sees a rabbit person receptionist. He fills out the registration form and asks if the guild ever receives healing requests since he is a healer. He also asks for someone to train him to survive in this foreign world. The rabbit person, Nanella, thinks for a moment and then goes to fetch someone. She returns with a tall, tough-looking guy who initially scares Lucille. But Lucille introduces himself and expresses his desire to train under someone strong. The tough guy, Broad, asks if Lucille doesn't love his precious money. He allows Lucille to train for 1 silver per day, with training fees deducted from his wages. When some adventurers try to bully Lucille, a single signal from Broad sends them fleeing. Broad introduces himself as the chief instructor of the guild. At night, Lucille worries about being helpful to the guild so they don't kick him out. Suddenly, Monica brings his dinner and flirts with him, asking him to take her on a date once he's 20 and reaches level 5. Extra motivated, Lucille heads to the Adventurers Guild the next day. As Lucille enters, everyone starts talking about him. Another pretty receptionist shows him to the training ground. The ground is empty until Broad appears behind him with a murderous intent. Impressed that Lucille didn't flee, Broad starts the training with running until Lucille collapses. Next, Broad makes him scream with stretching exercises. He then asks Lucille to try to land a hit on him, but Lucille, being a novice, is too slow. Despite falling, Lucille gets up again, impressing Broad, who then beats the crap out of him to teach him the first lesson of battle: not dying or getting injured. Lucille learns the lesson and braces for the second round, which makes him nearly soil himself. By the end, his entire body aches. Thinking of healing himself, Broad stops him, insisting he recover naturally to develop physical resilience. Broad makes Lucille promise to heal anyone in need, regardless of race. Suddenly, injured adventurers appear, asking for healing. While others suspect a scam, Lucille jumps in to help without hesitation, healing everyone. Afterward, he asks Broad if his current capacity is enough to heal the adventurers. Broad advises him to use all his magical energy to build strength. He then offers Lucille a place to live and 3 meals a day, all for free, because with Lucille, they can increase the guild's survival rate. Broad muses that if there were more people like Lucille, the world would be a better place. Broad told Lucille he couldn't leave during the training, effectively trapping him until it was complete. Lucille, desperate to negotiate, asked if they could limit it to 1 month. Broad, wanting Lucille to see his worth to the guild, agreed. Broad handed Lucille some new clothes since his old ones stank. Lucille took an icy bath and changed, only to be greeted from afar by Nanella, thanking him for healing the adventurers. Nana told Lucille that Broad had asked her to wash his clothes, but Lucille, not wanting his crush to deal with his smelly laundry, declined. Nana was initially disappointed, thinking Lucille was being a jerk and judging her because she was a beast human. Lucille cheered her up, handed over his clothes, and headed to the cafe as Broad instructed. At the cafe, Broad treated Lucille to a full-course meal and asked him to visit the basement afterward. Lucille was amazed by the delicious food. After the meal, Broad showed Lucille his room. Lucille tried to sleep but couldn't, so he practiced some skills until he eventually fell asleep. The next day, Broad introduced Lucille to Guldar. Guldar handed Lucille a dubious-looking drink, claiming the Sage of Time used it to enhance abilities. The drink smelled worse than Lucille's old clothes, but he took a sip anyway. Feeling like it was melting his insides, he decided to chug it down, shocking Guldar and Broad, who was watching from behind. Lucille felt a surge of energy and started eating his breakfast with gusto. A week into the training, Lucille still couldn't land a hit on Broad, but kept getting up no matter how hard he fell. Broad began to respect and acknowledge Lucille's determination. Suddenly, a beast folk appeared, looking for the healer who treated people for free. The beast folk had an animal bite, which Lucille healed, recommending a doctor for potential infection. The beast woman shed tears of gratitude, and the other human adventurers praised Lucille for not being a racist jerk and helping anyone in need. They were shocked to see him training under Broad, a figure everyone else avoided. At night, Lucille had to down another glass of the mysterious substance X. Returning to his room, he noticed everyone watching him secretly. He fell asleep wondering why. The next day, Lucille confronted Broad, who revealed that they were behind the surveillance, worried Lucille might run away. Lucille promised to stay and warned Broad that if he caught anyone spying on him, he'd drag them to the cafe and make them drink Substance X, even Broad. This threat made Broad sweat. More people started talking to Lucille as he healed more of them. His portions of Substance X grew larger, and he received more healing requests. As the last day of his contract approached, Lucille saved up to make an offering to the Healers Guild. Broad rewarded him for increasing the survival rate and invited him to continue training since his martial arts skills were still rough. Lucille paid his offering for the year and returned to the guild, where everyone was waiting. Broad smiled as Lucille returned and took him back to the training ground, asking Nana to renew Lucille's card. Lucille begged for help to escape Broad, but no one lifted a finger. After another meal, Broad gave Lucille a low-level healing encyclopedia as a treat for coming back. Lucille thanked him, but Guldar ruined the moment by handing over a jug of Substance X. Lucille gulped it down, shocking both Guldar and Broad. Broad gave Lucille a rare day off, though Lucille didn't even notice since his workaholic tendencies kept him busy. Instead of taking it easy, Broad sent him to help butchered monsters at the butchery. Lucille met Galba, who looked familiar. Turns out he's Guldar's elder brother. Galba pulled a giant boar from his magical bag and demonstrated how to butcher it. For Lucille, the process was pretty disgusting, but Galba explained that selling monster meat to other guilds and shops helps cover their operational costs. He also mentioned that Broad wanted Lucille to learn about different monsters and their weak points for combat. As they worked, Galba and Lucille discussed the declining number of new adventurers and the high mortality rate in battles. Galba handed Lucille a horned rabbit to butcher, and Lucille painstakingly got the job done. Later, Guldar asked Lucille about his day, pointing out that Lucille's shirt was soaked in blood, a fact Lucille hadn't even noticed. While washing his clothes, Nana appeared, worried after hearing about Lucille's rough day at the butchery. She cheered him up, holding his hand. That night, Lucille's dinner was a delicious stew made from the horned rabbit he butchered. But his smile faded when Guldar brought out another jug of Substance X. On his next day off, with nothing to do, Lucille was ambushed by Nana, Melina, and Marnell, who whisked him away to the library. They were tasked by Broad to help him increase his knowledge. After Marnell and Melina left, Nana taught Lucille about geography and politics. The guild's monthly earning rankings were released, and the lineage of the White Wolf was #1 again. Lucille blushed as Melina and Marnell's ample chests rested on his shoulders, realizing his clothes were too tight. Nana took him to the market to get new clothes, using the money Broad gave her. Suddenly, they heard a scream and found Monica stabbed in an alley. She couldn't remember what happened, but suspected mercenaries hired by healers to injure people for profit. Monica's friend had been sold into slavery for not paying a doctor's exorbitant fees, and Monica was attacked for objecting to these fees. Lucille, furious, asked Nana if Monica could stay at their guild until things calmed down. Later, at the cafe, Monica appeared, worried about how much she owed Lucille for her treatment. She was relieved when he told her it was free because she had been kind to him. Monica decided to stay at the Adventurers Guild and work there. 2 months later, Broad urgently searched for Lucille. An adventurer was on the verge of death. At an inn, Lucille found many injured and managed to save one, using all his magic. Broad gave him a potion to recover, but Lucille still fainted. He woke up with Nana by his bedside, disappointed that he couldn't save everyone. Despite his progress and skills since being reincarnated, he still felt the weight of those he couldn't save. Determined, Lucille thanked Broad for his training and set off on a new journey. He planned to buy a healing tom and open an affordable clinic for everyone. Lucille returned to the Healers Guild after some time, eager to renew his card despite being a healer himself. He greeted Kururu, who had been in a bad mood ever since he took Monica to the Adventurers Guild. Monica's departure had left Kururu struggling to find a replacement, but Lucille's update that Monica's life was no longer in danger brightened her day a little. Kururu was shocked to see the risky life Lucille had been leading at the Adventurers Guild. Lucille described his last year in a cartoonish manner, making Kururu question if he was a masochist. He explained he was just focused on improving his self-defense skills and leveling up his holy magic. Kururu wondered why he didn't work at a clinic for pay, but Lucille emphasized that gaining experience and practicing treatment was more important than just earning money. This was a lesson he learned from Monica's experience with the Healers Guild's failure to manage its operations. Lucille boasted that his goal for the year was to learn self-defense, something that can't be bought. They both apologized for their previous rude and arrogant behavior. Kururu offered to upgrade his rank to C, which would improve his skills and offerings, but Lucille's face turned pale when he heard the cost: 90 silver coins. After calculating his expenses, he realized he was 87 coins short and needed a job. Just as Lucille was about to ask Kururu for job help, Instructor Broad appeared with a sack of coins, Lucille's earnings. Broad offered Kururu 1 gold coin to transfer Lucille to the Adventurers Guild for 1 year, along with wages. Kururu had doubts, but Lucille assured her Broad was trustworthy, and she approved the transfer. That evening, Lucille returned home with a new spell book and was greeted by a surprise welcome party celebrating his new role as a temporary employee. As part of the initiation, he had to drink the notorious stinky substance X. Even from a distance, the stink was unbearable. Lucille chugged it down with a speech, and the room cleared out to avoid him. Bosun approached him, questioning why he wasn't making moves on the receptionists. Lucille explained that if he did, Broad would hunt him down. He was too focused on enhancing his survival skills to notice. He reminisced about when he first met Bosun, surrounded by adventurers and seeing only a bleak future. But now he was strong enough that no one would mess with him. Stikiev promised to take him out for a night on the town, and Lucille daydreamed about beautiful women. Meanwhile, Monica thanked him again for saving her and talked about her life at the guild. They grew closer, and Lucille almost touched her face, but stopped when he noticed Bosun and others talking about them. The next day, as Lucille trained, Botticelli, the head of the strongest clinic in Meritoni, and the man who tried to kill Monica, showed up with his guards. Botticelli ordered Lucille to quit the Adventurers Guild and work for him. Lucille refused. Botticelli threatened him, accusing Lucille of causing a drop in patient visits to his clinic and having a bad reputation. Lucille tried to catch Botticelli off guard by questioning his expensive treatments and revealing his crimes of selling patients into slavery. The quarrel escalated, and Botticelli ordered his guards to kill Lucille. Broad intervened, destroying the guards, and Botticelli fled, terrified. Broad warned Lucille that others, like Botticelli, might come after him to gain favor or eliminate him. From now on, Broad would train Lucille not just as a healer, but as a knight or gladiator, increasing his training intensity, meal portions, and substance X consumption. Lucille, though overwhelmed, accepted his fate. Training began, and Lucille's intense determination earned him the nickname Maso Zombie from others at the guild. While training with Monica cheering him on, Broad discovered that Lucille wouldn't be defeated unless he had a defensive barrier activated. Broad provided him with a shield and sword, announcing that he wanted to make Lucille his apprentice. He emphasized that Lucille must focus on becoming powerful, not just chasing numbers, and forbade him from checking his status or skill levels. Lucille spent 6 days a week honing Spartan skills. Meanwhile, Botticelli, envious and greedy, wrote a letter accusing Lucille of charging absurd treatment fees and plotting to relocate him. He sent the letter to the Healers Guild, laughing wickedly as he ended up coughing in his malicious delight. 6 months after his confrontation with Botticelli, Lucille had transformed significantly under Broad's rigorous training. The bartender at the bar, where Broad and Lucille often met, marveled at Lucille's impressive physique. Lucille had even begun to overcome his fear of blades. One day, Nanella entered the bar with a letter from the Holy Church of Shirul. It was an invitation to work at the Holy Shirul Church HQ, praising Lucille for reaching Holy Magic Affinity level 5 at a young age. The letter, signed by Pope Fluna Aludeli de Shirul, requested his transfer by the 6th month of the year. Upon the expiration of his current assignment, Broad was surprised that Botticelli had gone to such lengths. Botticelli's intention was clear: to remove Lucille from the Adventurers Guild and obstruct healing services there. Brod decided that Luciel would continue treating all patients in need while maintaining his Spartan training. Although Brod had no objections to treating light injuries or tracking numbers, Luciel's magic often struggled to keep up with his spirit. To aid his recovery, Gulgar, the bartender, brought Luciel a jug of chemical X, which would help him regain some magical strength. Luciel drank it without hesitation. Brod, who had gained even more strength and youthful vigor from training with Luciel, was now an S-rank martial artist known as the Whirlwind. Gulgar inquired about the side effects of Chemical X, given that Luciel frequently consumed it. Brod mentioned that old texts suggested it improved the body and skills, but admitted he wasn't entirely sure of its effects. Galba joined them for a drink and confirmed that Botticelli was indeed behind the scheme. He had observed a significant flow of money to the head of the Healers Guild and planned to dismantle their operations. Galba noted that Luciel was different from him and others. Gulgar asked if Galba would train Luciel if he didn't progress within a year, to which Galba agreed with a slight smile. He also observed that all the receptionists liked Luciel. When asked about his preferences, Luciel shyly admitted he liked girls with nice faces and cute personalities. As Luciel's departure approached, he had achieved a rank as a healer. Brod advised him to look out for any corruption at the HQ and to escape and return to the guild if needed. Before leaving, Luciel requested one final favor from Brod. He took him to the cemetery where he expressed his desire to establish a training course for rookies. The course would include basic training, monster butchery, and medicinal herbs identification, with an instructor being either a guild employee or a former high-level adventurer. Luciel wanted to ensure that new and poor adventurers wouldn't lose their lives due to exorbitant clinic fees. Brod agreed to consider starting the course. Brod also inquired about Monica's potential employment at the guild. Since Luciel had brought Monica to the guild and her presence would be beneficial, the decision ultimately rested with her. As Brod prepared to leave, he noticed Monica and Nanella hiding behind gravestones and called them out. Luciel expressed his gratitude to both, with Monica getting emotional and starting to cry. Luciel invited them for a final meal. The day of Luciel's departure arrived. He had achieved E rank and bid farewell to the guild, expressing his thanks for their kindness. Brod gifted him a magical bag capable of holding 10 items and some money as a parting gift. The heartfelt farewell moved Luciel to tears. As he left town, his companion awaited him in the carriage, ready to accompany him on the next stage of his journey. Luciel arrived at the Holy Church of Shirul, bringing his companions along to the guild due to his concerns about being targeted. Bazin, who was obligated to escort Luciel, entered the guild with him. The guild was similar in structure to his previous guild. They went to the cafeteria where they met Milty, who was introduced to Luciel by Bazin. Milty went to summon the master. Upon the master's arrival, Bazin introduced Luciel, who identified himself as a healer, surprising everyone. The master recognized Luciel as Brod's student. Luciel then asked Milty about Substance X and requested 3 large barrels. This request astonished everyone, and the master asked Luciel to drink Substance X in front of him to gauge his tolerance. Luciel gulped it down effortlessly, prompting the others in the cafeteria to call him a monster. The master then asked if Luciel truly healed adventurers for just a silver coin, and Luciel recounted his experiences at his previous guild, explaining his commitment to affordable treatment for adventurers. Luciel was then directed to the church by Granhart, a priest who had summoned him. Granhart led Luciel to the upper floor where Lumina, who recognized Luciel as Louis, was present. Luciel thanked Lumina for her previous help and was invited to her room after his meeting with Granhart. Granhart took Luciel to a storage room full of torture devices before leading him to a conference room. There he handed Luciel a letter with a red seal accusing Luciel's treatment methods of damaging other healers' businesses. Luciel calmly acknowledged the validity of the letter's claims and detailed his experiences with healers' fees and practices. Granhart appointed Luciel to the Church of St. Chirul's spiritual cleansing unit, giving him the position of deacon and exorcist. Luciel was to exorcise undead at a specified location for 20 gold coins per month. Shocked by the generous salary, Luciel then joined Lumina in her chamber for tea. Lumina warned Luciel that his new assignment might be dangerous, involving the elimination of monsters like skeletons, zombies, and ghosts in the underground cemetery labyrinth. She mentioned the benefits of keeping and selling monster drops and acquiring exclusive tomes, and reassured Luciel that he wouldn't turn into a zombie if bitten. The labyrinth's foul stench, however, would be a challenge, but Luciel was used to it due to his experience with Substance X. The next day, Luciel arrived late to find Granhart and Jord waiting. Jord, a predecessor at the church, presented Luciel with a robe specially sewn with silver thread to ward off miasma, valued at 10 platinum coins. Granhart also gave Luciel a card for the magic elevating platform, emphasizing that Luciel shouldn't cause trouble and wasn't allowed to bring anyone to HQ. Jord would handle the rest of Luciel's orientation. In the labyrinth, Jord demonstrated how to purify a zombie and then left quickly due to the stench. Luciel used a sword from his magical bag and faced multiple zombies. Scared, he hastily chanted a purification spell, successfully exorcising the zombies. Luciel then had the idea of applying the purification spell to his sword to conserve mana. He combined this with sword training and attempted healing magic, which also proved effective against zombies. Luciel reached the second level of the labyrinth and, feeling hungry, ate his lunch. Exhausted and out of magic by the third floor, he decided to call it a day. Luciel's extended absence from the labyrinth made Jord worried that he had become a zombie. However, Luciel returned alive and was taken to a shop where he could exchange his points for magic items, spell tomes, and potions. Catelia, a shop assistant, was introduced to Luciel and asked for the magic stones he had collected. Luciel's total points exceeded 4,000, which astonished Jord. Due to the low demand for battle weapons among the healers at the church, the shop's weapons were very affordable. Luciel took advantage of a discount to buy a sword and spear for 4,000 points and aimed to acquire a high-value spell tome worth 1 million points. On his way back, Luciel met Granhart, who informed him that his wages would be transferred to his guild's account and that he could use equipment from the storage room if needed. Granhart also gave Luciel a celestial robe to wear inside HQ and delivered a lengthy lecture before leaving. The next day, Luciel entered the labyrinth equipped with his new weapons and began mapping and exploring. He collected over 5,000 points by the second day, causing Catelia to advise him against overworking. Luciel continued to explore, reaching the 5th floor by the second day. On the third day, he encountered traps and an increasing number of monsters. His purification spell proved highly effective, allowing him to eliminate groups of zombies quickly. When Luciel discovered a magical door, he initially thought it was a boss room and sought confirmation from Jord. Jord, surprised by Luciel's progress, provided basic information about boss rooms. On the 11th day, Luciel entered the boss room, preparing himself with a dose of Substance X. He faced a horde of zombies, struggling initially as his purification spell failed. After a tough battle, he defeated the zombies but encountered a powerful wight in his silver robe. Luciel's healing magic was ineffective, and the wight's attacks were hard to avoid. Luciel decided to gamble and attack the wight simultaneously as it charged. Despite landing a blow, the wight quickly regenerated. Luciel used a spear and holy sword to eventually defeat the wight, which dropped a robe and magic staff. He healed himself and picked up the loot, discovering a new staircase. Luciel took a break and went to Catelia's shop to sell the loot. Catelia was shocked by the significant loot and scolded Luciel for his recklessness. She returned with points exceeding 100,000. When Luciel showed Catelia the wight's robe and staff, Catelia became serious and took him to the Pope. She introduced Luciel and his achievements to the Pope, including his battle with the wight. The Pope confirmed that the items belonged to Ozonario, who had disappeared 12 years ago. Impressed, the Pope decided to purchase the loot. Using his business acumen, Luciel requested a magic sack with a large capacity. The Pope granted his request, providing a sack that could fill a room with items. Catelia admired Luciel's negotiation skills with the Pope. Luciel, reflecting on his boss battle mistakes, found it hard to fit all of his errors on one page. As he left his office for the cafeteria, he encountered Lumina with her escorts, Queen and Lucy. Lumina praised Luciel's achievements in just 10 days and invited him to breakfast. During the meal, Queen and Lucy scolded Luciel for fighting a wight, questioning his judgment and hinting at a death wish. Luciel expressed a desire to return to Meritoni for more training against difficult enemies, and Lumina offered to help with his training. After breakfast, Luciel returned to the labyrinth, finding no major surprises on the 11th and 12th floors. At Catelia's shop, Luciel received a new magic sack, which changed color to match his clothes. The sack contained all available spell tomes as instructed by the Pope. The next day, Luciel safely explored the 15th floor and then trained with the Valkyrie Paladin Regiment. He struggled with sprinting, falling behind by 8 laps, and faced humiliation. During combat training, Lumina was displeased with Luciel's sword skills and asked him to attack her with all his strength. Despite activating a trap taught by Broad, Luciel couldn't land a blow on Lumina, who eventually knocked him out. When he woke up, he saw Quina and Lucy, and the training continued. Luciel helped the bodyguards win in the bodyguard training session. Lumina, impressed by his healing abilities, described him as an oddball, but a talented healer, and noted his past achievements at the Adventurers Guild. Luciel continued exploring the labyrinth, reaching the 16th level and encountering a trap that released a horde of zombies. He defeated them and reached the 20th floor. Returning to Catelia's shop, he sought information about the 20th floor, but Catelia had none as she had never been inside the labyrinth. It was rumored that another guild member had lost their life there. The next day, Elizabeth came to train Luciel in dual-wielding techniques. Luciel struggled and was knocked out in his first 2 battles against Ripmir. Several days later, Luciel entered the 20th level boss room, defeated the boss, and took the drops to the Pope. Upon examining the items, the Pope confirmed they had once belonged to a high priest. Luciel inquired about the labyrinth and its possibility of being conquered. The Pope confirmed that while the labyrinth can be conquered, no one has succeeded so far. An elite group of Templars and Paladins had tried and failed due to the labyrinth's stench. The Pope advised Luciel to continue his exploration and offered a promotion upon reaching level 7. Along with other necessary equipment for his adventures. Luciel, while at the Adventurers Guild for a refill of Substance X, attracted suspicious looks from the adventurers. Their surprise grew when he ordered 10 barrels of Substance X. The guild master made a request for Luciel to offer healing services similar to those he provided in Meritoni. Luciel initially declined, citing his commitments at the church HQ, but as an adventurer, he couldn't refuse the master's request. The master then procured the 10 barrels of Substance X. Milty explained that the guild sought Luciel's help because high-level monsters had increased the injury rate and adventurers could not afford the expensive clinic fees. Luciel shocked everyone by announcing he would charge no more than 1 silver coin per person. As he began healing, some adventurers misjudged him as a high-charging healer and began to abuse him. The master intervened, revealing Luciel as the legendary Maso Zombie healer from Meritoni, which calmed the adventurers who had thought of the Maso Zombie as mere folklore. The next day, Luciel visited Catelia's shop, informing her of his plan to stay in the labyrinth for a while. Despite her warnings against such recklessness, Luciel convinced her to let him proceed. After some days, Luciel returned to the shop, where Catelia handed him new armor and weapons. The following day, he visited the guild for more Substance X, with the master celebrating his arrival as Saint Weirdo's Day. Luciel requested the master to send another letter to Meritoni. He made many adventurer friends at the guild and continued to heal them while gathering information about his comrades. An adventurer informed him that the whirlwind had gone rogue, kidnapping and forcibly training adventurers. Having cleared the 30th level boss, Luciel returned to the shop and exchanged magic stones for over 425,000 points. During a conversation with Catelia, he mentioned using Area High Heal, which shocked her. She took him to the Pope, who was also astonished by Luciel's power and the completion of the 30th floor. Catelia informed the Pope about Luciel's use of Substance X for the past 2.5 years. The Pope recognized the drink and explained that it was developed by a sage. Luciel presented the drops he collected from the 30th level boss, which the Pope found intriguing. The next day, the Pope left a letter with Catelia for Luciel, detailing the truth about Substance X. The letter revealed that Substance X suppresses one of the consumer's primal urges, in Luciel's case, his sexual urges. Shocked by this revelation, Luciel decided to focus on conquering the labyrinth before pursuing any romantic interests. A month after discovering the truth about Substance X, Luciel had successfully explored up to the 40th floor of the labyrinth. He encountered new and formidable monsters, eventually reaching the 40th floor's boss chamber. Returning to the church, Luciel sought information about the undead at the guild. Upon entering the guild, he was stopped by a little girl who wanted to speak with him. Luciel recognized Nanella and Monica among the crowd. The adventurers quickly took him to heal the injured. After treating the wounded, Milty suggested Luciel accompany the little beast girl to the slums. The guild master decided to join them. In the slums, a man unexpectedly stabbed Luciel, but he quickly used Area High Heal to tend to the injuries and himself. Luciel healed many of the beast folk, purified their water, and lectured them on cleanliness. That night, he took Monica and Nanella to a residence. They revealed they had sent him letters about the marriage of other receptionists, but Luciel had not received any responses. Luciel was shocked by this and later learned from the master that the letters had not been delivered. The next day, Elitz inquired if Monica or Nanella was Luciel's girlfriend. Luciel continued healing at the guild, where the master threw a large party to apologize for the letter mishap. Time passed, and Monica and Nanella decided to leave the capital. The beast folk from the slums approached Luciel, expressing their desire to establish a healer's guild in the capital. The little girl, Shelia, who could not speak due to an accident, hugged Luciel. He used extra heal to restore her voice, though the healing process would take some time. Luciel requested rigorous training from Lumina, who eventually assessed his improvements and was impressed by his progress. Exhausted after the training, Luciel prepared to confront the 40th level boss. 6 months later, Luciel entered the 40th level boss chamber. The boss, an exceptional spearman and former head Templar, wielded powerful recovery magic and sword techniques. Luciel's purification and physical attacks proved ineffective, and he found himself cornered. As the boss prepared to attack, Luciel used Substance X, which caused the boss to retreat. 1 week later, still in the boss chamber, Luciel, protected by the barrier of Substance X, knew he needed to secure a victory. He charged at the boss, managed to land a blow, and finally beheaded the creature. The boss dropped a magic tom, but when Luciel attempted to leave, the door wouldn't open. He attached an open barrel of Substance X to himself and ran wildly, ultimately finding no choice but to level down to the 50th floor. Luciel stumbled upon treasure chests and finally made it to the 50th floor, ready to continue his journey. Luciel, having reached the 5th boss's gate, is running low on food and is concerned about his survival if the boss proves too challenging. He examines the spell tome, discovering that the Sanctuary Circle spell can purge dark magic and protect against demons and ghosts. Entering the boss chamber, Luciel faces the King White, a formidable opponent. He uses the Sanctuary Circle to shield himself and trap the King White, eventually exorcising it. The boss drops a tome of forbidden holy magic and a staff, and a magic door opens to reveal an undead holy dragon. Luciel plans to use Sanctuary Circle to defeat the dragon after consuming his remaining magic potions. A dragon awakens and, impressed by Luciel's bravery, offers him a reward and explains the labyrinth's purpose: to seal away the dragon race where miasma gathers. The dragon bestows protection upon Luciel and urges him to help save as many beings as possible. The dragon then turns to bones, and Luciel receives new titles including Blessed by Healer God, Protected by the Holy Dragon, and Dragon Slayer. Luciel is transported outside the labyrinth, where he is greeted by Cadlia and informed of the adventurer's protests regarding his release. Cadlia introduces Luciel to Brod, Galbo, Golder, and Master, who believe Luciel was dead. After a celebratory meal, Luciel heals everyone with his magic. Despite his efforts, he struggles against Brod, who continues to defeat him. Emotional as his companions depart from Eratoni, Luciel requests that Brod deliver a letter to Monica and Nanella. He then reports to the Pope, who is pleased to see him alive. The Pope reveals that Luciel's previous failure to progress was due to Substance X, offering him a choice between high-level capabilities or continuing with Substance X's cheat code. A grand ceremony is held to celebrate the labyrinth's end, and Luciel is promoted to S-rank healer, with a rank equivalent to a bishop, with the ability to refuse any order except from the Pope. During his speech, Luciel discusses the realities of life outside the church and commits to improving the medical clinical system and fee structure. Lumina is proud of Luciel's achievements, and with that, the story concludes. Don't forget to smash that like button and leave your suggestions in the comments. Until next time.